Yes. So, very good morning, students. Welcome to our today's session. So, in our previous session, we had seen what are the different theories of capital structure. What is meant by leverage? What are the different types of leverage? How do we actually calculate them? Right. So, in our today's session, we are moving on to the main or one of the most important topics of your financial management, and this particular topic carries a lot of weightage. Especially, there is a topic called weighted average cost of capital, which might be a sure shot question for your final exams. So be very careful with this topic. So yeah, there are different types of cost of capital, right? That we'll see in detail. We'll be solving what is the cost of debt, what is the cost of preference shares, what is the cost of equity shares. So these things will be calculating in this particular topic. So let's first try to understand what is the cost of capital. Before understanding that, I want you guys to be very careful with this term capital. Capital need not only mean your equity shares or equity share capital, right? It can also mean your debentures or your preference shares or any form of loan or debt which is there in your business. Collectively, we call it as cost of capital. When I'm talking about cost of capital of a firm A, it means that all the long term debts and all the long term capital will be considered for calculating the cost of capital. So please be very careful with this term. Capital in general means the funds which are given by the owners of the firm. But when I say cost of capital, capital here refers to all those long-term debts as well as the shareholders' funds for your business. It is a solid base for your business. Based on this, your firm will be built on. It's like a main important, strong foundation for your business, right? Without capital, you cannot actually have any business running in this economy, right? Right. Now let's quickly understand what is meant by cost of capital. Cost of capital is the minimum rate of return a firm must earn on its project or investment to maintain its market value and attract funds. Right. Cost of capital is a minimum rate of return. I mean, it's like if I say your cost of capital is 15%, whatever projects you are looking at, for example, you want to purchase a machinery, you want to purchase land, you want to purchase a building, or you want to start off with a new manufacturing process, right? All these places you need to ensure that at least 15% return is ensured, because if your projects return fall beyond below 15%, it means that the market value of firm will also go down. So to have that market value in your in place, or in order you want to have that market value going good, you need to have your projects returns more than the cost of capital. So let's calculate cost of capital in later parts of our module. But as of now, please understand this sentence. When I say cost of capital, it means that it is the minimum rate of return a firm expects from its projects or investments in order to maintain its market value and attract funds. This is one of the important meanings which you need to be very careful, right? The words you need to mark are minimum rate of return, project or investment. So if you want to jump in for a new project, you need to ensure that this minimum rate of return is earned, right? Next, what is next I mean the next point. Yeah, this is a central concept of financial management. The whole of the financial management actually lies on this cost of capital, because if you see cost of capital structure, theories of capital structure, all those places we have discussed about cost of debentures, cost of equity. So it's like one of the most basic concepts upon which your whole financial management stands. Right. Next, used for evaluating investment projects to determine capital structure. So this I've explained. Next, yeah. So before solving the problem, we need to understand two different things. One is business risk, another is financial risk. So what is a business risk? Business risk is the risk to the firm of not being able to recover operating cost. What are operating costs? You guys know, right? Those costs which are incurred in the process of manufacturing, correct? Those costs which are incurred to run the day-to-day business operations, we call it as operating costs. So if you are not able to recover that basic cost which was pending, then what is the point in running your business, correct? So business risk is a risk which it is a risk of a firm being not able to recover the operating cost, right? So another type of risk is financial risk. What does financial risk mean? Financial risk means that risk of a firm of not being able to recover its financial expenses or financial obligations. For example, I'm supposed to pay 5% debt on my debenture capital, right? So if I'm not able to recover that 5% or pay my debenture holders on time, then what is the point in running? I mean, I cannot call myself that I'm running this firm effectively, right? So this is about cost of capital. When they ask you about cost of capital, the first 2 points you are first 3 points you are supposed to mention, right? I'll just give you 10 seconds. Please go through this. Right. First, we'll start with cost of debentures. So what do you mean by cost of debenture? It is the after tax cost of long term funds through borrowing. Okay, there is this concept of taxation which comes into picture, especially when we are discussing about debentures. So why is that we are getting a tax shelter for your cost of debentures? Yeah, let me just explain a small concept, a small topic of your taxation, right? Quickly, we'll just switch on to taxation. So, how does taxation work? Taxation is like this: any income to a person has to be taxed only once, right? Any income which is received by a person, that has to be taxed only once. What do you mean? What do I mean by this sentence? It is like a firm is a. Let's take this example. There is a firm called XYZ. XYZ into manufacture. XYZ is a manufacturing company. They are manufacturing automobile parts, right? So XYZ is earning some amount of profit, correct? That profit we call it as EBIT, earnings before interest and tax, correct? That profits may be taxed once in the when will we pay our tax? It's like EBIT minus interest. After that we'll come to EBT, earnings before tax. On EBT we are charging tax, correct? Uh, that's how your this uh, that's how your taxation works. That's what our statement of profits also say, right? So it's like from EBIT you deduct interest first on that amount, EBT, earnings before tax. You charge tax. After that you will be arriving at something called as earnings after tax. Then you will pay your preference shareholders. Then you arrive at something called as earnings available to equity shareholders. So if you closely observe here, let me just take a moment and write off this thing, the table what I just explained. Right. First you'll arrive. First you'll get your sales value or revenue. From revenue, you will first subtract your variable cost, then you will arrive at something called as contribution. From contribution, you'll again deduct fixed cost. Now we will arrive at EBIT, correct? Which means that earnings before interest and tax. Out of this, first we'll pay off our interest. Then we arrive at something called as earnings before tax, correct? Now, we'll deduct tax. Right. Now we arrive at something called as EAT, correct? Earnings after tax. Now you give preference dividend. Now you arrive at earnings available to equity shareholders, right? So this amount, whatever we arrive here, this is something which belongs to your equity shareholders. However, if you look at here, already tax has been paid on this profit, correct? Tax has been paid on this capital. So let's take a numerical example. I've assumed the sales to be 10 lakhs, out of which uh, 4 lakhs will pay as 4 lakhs of variable cost, assuming 40%. Now the contribution will be 6 lakhs. Now let's assume a fixed cost of 2 lakhs. EBIT is 4 lakhs. Now let's assume there was a a sum of 10 lakh rupees which was let's take a sum of 5 lakh rupees which was borrowed from your debentures. 5 lakhs into 10% will take 10% interest. 5 lakhs was the principal which was borrowed, so we are supposed to pay them 50,000 rupees. So now we'll arrive at 3 lakh 50,000. Let's assume a tax rate of 50%, right? So we'll arrive at 1 lakh 75,000. So earnings after tax will be 1 lakh 75. So let's assume a preference dividend to be 10 per some, okay, 50,000 we'll assume preference dividend. So we'll arrive at 1 lakh 25,000. So this is how the actual costs flow. First you need to provide for your variable cost, then you'll pay your fixed cost, then you pay your interest. After paying your interest, you are paying tax on this EBT 3,50,000. On this amount, you are already paying income tax. So when it comes over here in the hands of your shareholders, when you are distributing earnings to your shareholders need not pay tax because you have already paid on behalf of them. This 1,75,000 was already paid, correct? You have already charged 50% tax and you have paid it to your you have paid it to the government. So now this dividend is tax free. That is the reason dividends are tax free. But if you consider this interest row, right? If you consider this interest row, it says you are paying 50,000. I mean, nowhere you have charged taxation till here. So this interest is, it is taxable in the hands of the Debenture holders are supposed to pay tax on this whatever earnings they are getting, correct? This 50,000, they will pay tax to the government and you don't have to bother about that. So the conclusion is that the profits or the earnings are taxable only once. Whatever earnings are there, it is taxable only once. Yes, so that yeah. So cost of debenture. After tax cost of long-term funds through borrowing. So since you don't have I mean you are not paying any sort of tax to the government, you are getting something called as tax shelter. You are not supposed to pay that, correct? So your I mean there is no tax cost on your debenture interest payable. When you are paying debentures, you don't have to worry about tax. So that is the reason we have something called as tax shelter. Cost of debenture is nothing but after tax cost of long term funds through borrowing. So before before going to the formula, I want to make you guys understand what is net cash proceedings. What do you mean by net cash proceeding? It's like, for example, if I want to raise a debt, correct? If I want to raise a debt of 5 lakh rupees, there will be so many other costs which will be involved in the process. For example, I need to approach a financial intermediary who can actually issue the debentures to the public. Correct? I cannot sit in my corporate office and give all these debentures, collect money, and all those things. So what I do is that I'll give away this entire process to a bank. For example, I'll give this to SBI Bank. SBI Bank is charging me 10,000 rupees. Correct? Out of this 5 lakh rupees of debenture capital, what I'm raising, they are charging a sum of 10,000 rupees for this entire process. I don't have to bother about all those things. The funda is very simple. They'll be issuing the debentures, they'll be getting the cash, and that cash will be deposited to my account, which will be available for my use. Correct? So there will be certain costs like brokerage or any brokerage fees or any other fees which are related to this process of issuing the debentures. So what is net cash proceedings? Net cash proceedings in this case is that 5 lakhs minus 10,000. 10,000 I am already spending it in the process of issuing the debentures itself. Correct? So the net cash that will be credited to my bank account is 4 lakh 90,000 only. So in this case, the net cash proceedings will be 4 lakh 90,000 only and not 5 lakhs. So how do you arrive at net cash proceedings? It is the total amount of money issued, I mean the total amount of debentures issued minus all those miscellaneous expenses, all those expenses that are involved along with the along with the process of issuing the debentures. So I have written, okay, that is about net cash proceeding. What is flotation cost? That is nothing but cost of issuing the securities. Right. Net cash proceedings are funds actually received from sale of security. In this case, it is 4 lakh 90,000. Correct. Net cash proceedings are 4 lakh 90,000 and not 5 lakhs. 10,000 is your flotation cost here, and 5 lakhs is the actual amount of debentures that are sold, and 10,000 is your flotation cost, and the net cash proceedings are 4 lakh 90,000. Now, just think about this. If you are issuing debentures today, after 10 years, you are supposed to redeem that. When you are redeeming, you are not paying 4 lakh 90,000, but you are paying 5 lakhs in total. I mean, debenture holders don't care if you are paying your bank any fees. That's none of their business. Their business is very simple. They have given you some amount of money. They have given you 5 lakh rupees of amount of money. That 5 lakhs they need. Correct? End of the chapter. It's like they're least bothered about your bank transactions and all those things. They just need their money back. So when you are giving your debenture holders back, you are giving them in total. Please keep this in mind always. Now, cost of debt. For what is irredeemable debt? Irredeemable debt is nothing but a type of debentures wherein it's not paid on. I mean, it doesn't have any maturity period. It will go on forever. Correct? It will go on forever. If you are issuing 5 lakh rupees of debt, it will go on till the company is there. However, you will be earning a some amount of interest. Next, there's something called as redeemable debentures. They are nothing but debentures which have a certain period of maturity. For example, it might be for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. After that period, your principal will be paid off. Interest, INT means interest. Interest into 1 minus tax divided by net receipts. Net receipts are nothing but your net cash proceedings. Whatever you have earned, I mean, whatever you have received in hand into 100. So, this is a formula for cost of debt. And for cost of redeemable debentures, it is interest into 1 minus tax plus. What do you mean by RV? RV is nothing but redemption value. I mean, whatever the value you are supposed to pay after the maturity. After 5 years, if you are paying them 5 lakh rupees in total, that is your redeemable redemption value. Net receipts is 4 lakh 90,000 because you have actually received only 4 lakh 90,000. 10,000 rupees are your bank expenses. Right, divided by n, whole divided by the average of your redemption value and net receipts. So guys, try to, rather than by hearting the whole thing, you just concentrate on this formula: interest into 1 minus tax. This is because of the tax shelter what I have explained to you people. Plus redemption value minus net receipts. If you calculate redemption value minus net receipts, going back to my example, 5 lakhs minus 4 lakh 90, 10,000 rupees, all those expenses which are there, please be careful, all those expenses that are there, correct, divided by n, number of years. So you will get expenses per annum, correct, expenses per annum you will get, divided by redemption value plus net receipts divided by 2. This is average receipts what we have got into 100. So if we solve this formula, we will be arriving at the cost of debentures.